Your latest Manchester United news and your Ole Gunnar Solskjaer press conference reaction for Manchester United versus Chelsea. He's just finished speaking to the press, and as ever, a very packed and lots of information and statements from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer that we need to go through. None more so than the injury update, which we're talking about, and the ramifications of those injury updates. Expect Harry Maguire, Mason Greenwood and Edison Cavani to be available for the Chelsea game. We'll talk about what that means in a minute, but we'll start off with Mason Greenwood and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer basically coming out and saying leave Mason Greenwood alone. The English press are going after him and don't know where they're getting this information, but it's not correct. Remember, was it yesterday morning or the day before we were talking about Mason Greenwood and the Telegraph and the Times? You know, this is not the Sun and the Mirror. The Telegraph and the Times are decent outlets in the UK saying that Mason Greenwood has been warned about his punctuality in relation to turning up for training late. And, you know, we heard these rumours about, social media rumours to be fair, about, you know, why he might have been left out of the Newcastle game and why he might have been left out of the PSG game. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer coming out and saying he's a fantastic talent, he's a fantastic lad, he's from a good background, he's got a good mentality. These stories that he's been late for training are not true. He's never been late for training. And actually, there's photographers outside Carrington for every bloody training session. So they would know if he's been late. So I don't know where this information's coming from. And these ex-players that are talking about Mason Greenwood, they don't know what they're on about. Now, I don't know what ex-players he's on about there, because I don't really take any more interest in a United ex-player than I do in you, because it's just an opinion. But I don't know what ex-players he's talking about there, but he's definitely come out very defensive of Mason Greenwood and left himself very little room for manoeuvre there from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So it's a very bold statement, because if you think about it, if you work or you've got a friend, or you know, and you come out and you back them publicly and you say, you know what, I don't care what you say about Jimmy, he'd never cheat on his wife, and you know he's not a gambler. He's a straight down the guy person. And then the next day he's there. I've got 3 kids with 3 different women, and you're like, I've put my neck on the line for you, Johnny. And we're not talking. I mean, that's just an example. What I'm saying is that to come out and publicly back Mason like that, for me is fantastic, because it you know, that is our manager of our club coming out and backing our best young talent and saying this is a load of nonsense, leave him alone. The English press, he made one mistake over in Iceland in that hotel room when he was with England, and we know Ollie's not happy with the way that he was handled over in England anyway. And he said since then the English press have been hounding him. There's no problem with Mason Greenwood. He's not late for training or anything like that. And you know, coming out, swinging. And this is what we want to do. This is what we want our manager to do. I didn't see any masterclass last night, Zane, because I was watching Emmerdale. I don't watch Europa League football. It's shit. Unless we're in it, because we have to watch it. But there you go. So look, you know, people are saying Jimmy cheated on his wife in Brookside, says Robert McCormack. But Jimmy's not a real person. Jimmy's just an example of how you can stick up for somebody and then make yourself look stupid. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has put his neck on the line publicly today for Mason Greenwood. He has backed his player. Now, look, people may say he's lying. People may say there's more to it. People may say, you know, Mason Greenwood's clearly been up to something. You know, there's no smoke without fire and all that jazz. But the reality is, I don't really care about that. What I do care about is our manager, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, has come out and publicly backed him. And if I'm Mason Greenwood, I'm listening to that and I'm going, you know what? He's put his reputation on the line for me. He's put his reputation, and there's 2 interpretations of that. He's either put his reputation on the line for me to protect me, or he's put his reputation on the line to back me. Either way, they're both the same thing, because either Mason Greenwood has done something or he hasn't. But regardless of whether he has or he hasn't, that's your manager publicly backing you. You now never do anything wrong again, because if you do, you make Ollie look stupid, you make the club look stupid. So it's the right statement. I don't know what the truth is, and to be honest, when you don't know what the truth is, you come down on the line. I come down on the line that you're innocent until you're proven guilty. It's like Harry Maguire in Greece. You know, a lot of people are saying, you know, actually it's all a load of bullshit. He did do what they're saying he's done. Some people are saying not. For me, Harry Maguire's innocent until proven guilty. And, you know, exactly the same with Mason Greenwood. All these rumours, everything like that. Where's your evidence? Ollie's saying it's not happened. He's innocent. He's innocent. He's our player. He's a fantastic player. And he is available for the game tomorrow against Chelsea, which is most important for me. Did you see the Champions League Team of the Week, says Noward? No, I haven't. I hope there were some United players in it, though. But look, Mason Greenwood, massive talent for Manchester United. This can only be positive news. We've got a massive game tomorrow against Chelsea. We need Mason. We need him part of this team. We've got big games to come. I believe he's the best young talent under 20 in England easily. And he's our talent. He's our player. And he makes us a better team. And this is what we need to focus on. Mason Greenwood in a Manchester United shirt, achieving things with Manchester United for many years to come with this fantastic fan base, this fantastic club and this fantastic player. And that to me is absolutely the main thing that comes out of this. And great that Ollie's come out and backed him. So very, very happy about that. Compared to previous managers, does Ollie get enough credit for his time at United? No support in the transfer market and still makes the team look great, says Lars Frederick Ossen. Look, you're either with Ollie or you're not. That's the way it is, isn't it? I am. Look, let me talk about injuries then. He said that very positive about Mason, Harry Maguire and Cavani all looking like they'll be available for the game tomorrow against Chelsea. Now this leads into, he was asked about Tuanzebe. He said he had a great game, he's a great talent, it's about recovery for him now and, you know, playing more regularly like that. I mean, look, there's no United players in the team of the week, says Nayud. That's a joke. That's an absolute joke. How can there be no Manchester United players in the Champions League team of the week? What a frigging joke. It was the game of the week. We were away from home and we won. You've got to put at least Tuanzebe and Wan-Bissaka in there. I would say Fred as well. Maybe even De Gea. It's a joke, absolute joke. But look, this is what happens when idiots are in charge of voting for things, because the reality is, on our player rating show, you vote for it. So we don't have to put up with individualism saying, oh, I think Bruno was a 6 out of 10, because we all know he was an 8 out of 10, because that's what you, thousands of you voted for. So this is why fan opinion's way better than the prats who bloody vote for these things. Someone's going to tell me it was voted for by the fans now. But anyway, let's talk about these injuries. The big thing for me is Harry Maguire. How do we solve the Harry Maguire issue? Now, I believe Harry Maguire will be fit for this game against Chelsea tomorrow. It's no surprise to me. It's not a disappointment. He's a Manchester United player. But we know that Harry Maguire had this ridiculously thick record. And I say it's not Harry's fault and it's not United's fault. But I think people who were celebrating it, I just don't get what's great about, oh, he's played every game of every game last season. Like, what are you winning there? Oh, you didn't actually get any rest. You know, you sound like the guy. There's a guy who delivers all our Christmas stuff, and I spoke to him last Christmas, Amazon delivery, and he said, I haven't had a day off since the 1st of November, and I'm doing ridiculous hours. And I said, mate, you're going to kill yourself. He says, yeah, but the money's good. I said, yeah, but you can't spend it when you're dead. And it's a bit, that reminds me of Harry Maguire playing every game last season. It's like, what stick are you going to get? Like, oh, you played every game. Do you not think actually having a rest here and there is actually going to make you be a better player? So, but Harry Maguire will be back because he runs through brick walls, he's resilient, he's Harry and everything like that. So he will get himself back, and he will want to be back as well. Let me be very fair to Harry Maguire here. If I was him and I'd seen what that team did on Tuesday, I would be hopping around with one leg trying to get back in that team, because you don't want to be staying out that team for a long time. That's the best performance we've seen from Manchester United in years, and he didn't play. So he'll be very aware that he needs to get back in that team quick, because the longer that team plays together without him, the less chance he's got of getting in. And I think Ollie will be aware of that. So I'm pretty sure Harry Maguire will start against Chelsea tomorrow. Now, to me, I wouldn't start him. I think, you know, Chelsea are a mobile team. They're a very mobile team. They're not really a tall team. They won't play Giroud. So I would love to see Lindelof, Tuanzebe as the centre-backs tomorrow. And I think they deserve to be the centre-backs, and I said that in the preview. But I expect Harry Maguire to start tomorrow. I expect Harry Maguire to be the captain tomorrow. I don't agree with either of those two things, but Ollie's got it right in the last 2 games, and I expect it. I'm not going to get stressed about it. I'm not going to get angry about it. He scored in his last game, and, you know, I hope he does a good job tomorrow. The reality is Harry Maguire's not going anywhere, and I don't think Harry Maguire's ever going to be a bench player. So he's going to come back into the team, and that's just the way it's going to be. I don't agree with it, and I don't think he should be the captain anyway. I've said that for weeks, but expect that to happen. I think that is going to happen, whatever we think about it. And whether it weakens us or not, I hope not, because we need to win the game tomorrow. Greenwood being back is interesting, and it gives us more options with Martial being suspended. And Cavani, I think Cavani can only be on the bench. But remember, the interesting thing here is you can only play 7. You can only name 7 substitutes, and I think people forget this. You can only name 7 substitutes. So If Henderson's going to be one of those substitutes, and Lindelof will probably be another one because he'll end up getting benched. Luke Shaw will probably be another one because Telles will probably play at left back. So that's 3. Then you're going to have Matic because he'll probably pick McTominay and Fred. Van der Beek, that's 5. Maybe Mata or Pogba, that's 6. Greenwood, 7. So, Cavani, you can't be there. So, you know what I mean? Picking a bench becomes very, very, very difficult for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer now. And it's good in a way, but maybe Cavani won't even make the bench. So, interesting to see how it gets. And also, if he's got Henderson, Lindelof, Shaw, Matic, Van der Beek, Cavani, Greenwood, well, where is Mata, James, Pogba, potentially, Lingard? You know what I mean? It's hard. Thanks for the Champions League Fantasy Team of the Week, Mark. Most publications I saw have put... sorry, that's the Champions League Fantasy Team of the Week, Mark. Most publications I saw have put Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Twan Sebi and De Gea in their teams as Tejas, which is absolutely good. Matic is irrelevant now, says Wake the Fallen. What else has Ollie said? He said that... he spoke about Donny van der Beek, actually, as well. I mean, look... Donny van der Beek is a fantastic talent. I think we all really like him and we all want to see him in the team. But I've got to say, I think on this one, it's not really... You know, to me, the big thing tomorrow is I don't think Maguire should start, but he will. I think that's the big story. I also think the formation's the big story. It shouldn't be a back 5. We're at home. We need to win. And also, will Pogba play? Will Mata play? They're very interesting. I don't think Donny van der Beek is going to play tomorrow. I wouldn't mind him playing. I don't think he's going to play tomorrow. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was asked about it. And it was a bit of an odd question, really, because they were like, has he got an injury? Well, he's clearly not injured, is he? We know he's not injured. And it wasn't the worst question of the day, by the way. We'll come to that in a minute. But Ollie basically said he's fit. The thing is, it's competition for places. And it's getting used to the league and everybody else. But he'll play plenty of time this season for Manchester United. I think that's true. I think that Donny van der Beek at the moment is in the unfortunate position whereby he's a player that we needed to give us squad depth and talent in the midfield. But because we didn't buy players in the transfer window, we've had to adopt formations that I don't think Ollie really was thinking about doing. I don't think he was thinking that he was not going to play with, not many midfielders. And as I said, tomorrow you could see a midfield of McTominay, Fred, Bruno, Mata and James, which benches Van der Beek, Pogba and Matic, which you would never expect. So I think Van der Beek will play games. I think he will definitely play games. And I think at the moment we're at that situation where the season is still very young. And because it's very young, you are picking pretty much the same sort of players. But as the season gets older, people will drop out of form, people will get injured, people will need a break, and that's when you'll start to see more of Van der Beek. So I think for Van der Beek, it's just a matter of time before he gets into the team. In fact, what I would say about Donny van der Beek is if he got the opportunity that Mata got against Newcastle last week, he would be starting against Chelsea tomorrow. I think he's just got to wait for his opportunity, and then I think he will take his opportunity with Van der Beek. So yeah, I think that's what's happening with him. Martin Atkinson's the referee tomorrow. I'm pretty sure this is the case. So I'm a little bit worried about this because Martin Atkinson, I don't think he is a Chelsea fan, but I'm pretty sure he's been the ref against Chelsea before and has done us over a bit. So I'm not a big fan of Martin Atkinson. So if you are watching, make sure you give United something tomorrow, and I might like you again. This is the question. I've got to bring this is. This is the. I mean, if you get, it's all about opinion, of course. So look, some people might disagree with me on this one, but if you get the opportunity to ask Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a question in a press conference, you've got your press pass. You're going to think about it. You're going to think it through, surely. You're going to come up with something that the people want to go, oh, that's a good question. I can't wait for the answer to this. Is it true about what's been said about Mason Greenwood? Are you happy about Paul Pogba talking about his dream move to Real Madrid? That was asked last week. Chelsea, they got a lot. I mean, nobody asked this. Maybe it'll come in the curfew. But off the top of my head, straight away, the first question I would have asked today? Lampard got backed massively in the transfer window. Do you feel envious about a club that you finished above last season being backed so much? What a great question that is. Wasn't asked, by the way. But this was the question from TalkSport. If you win tomorrow, does that erase the 6-1 loss a couple of weeks ago? It's like saying, if you breathe air, will you die? Like, it's just what a stupid question. Well, no, let me take that back, to be fair. What a waste of a question. Like, if we beat Chelsea tomorrow, does that erase getting beat 6-1? Imagine if Ollie had said, yes, it does. I mean, it's the most silly question I've ever heard. Like, winning tomorrow, will that erase being beaten 6-1 at home? Of course it bloody doesn't. Of course it doesn't. Like, you know, just what a waste of a question. What a waste of a question. I tell you what, if you want decent questions in the future, I'm available on email. I'll send them through and you can pretend they're yours, and then we benefit from a better question. And for me, the big question I wanted to see asked today, and it could be asked in the kept back section later. I would have asked the question, exactly, you finished third, Lampard finished fourth, you beat him twice last season, are you envious of the amount of backing he's had this summer? And I think Ollie's got to answer that, and the way he's going to answer it is going to be very, very telling, because he can't go, well, he could go, well, to be fair, I think I've been backed, or he could go, well, you know, it's a very difficult question for him to answer, but it's a very relevant question. It's a shame it wasn't asked. These young guys, Greenwood and Foden and Davies, think they've made it. Bad attitudes and need mentoring. You wouldn't catch Giggs, Scholes and Ronaldo doing that, says Andrew C. You might want to go and do your research on Ryan Giggs and Ronaldo. They definitely did get into a few moments off the pitch. 100%. There you go. And Ollie has just extended Phil Jones' contract. No, he hasn't. But look, on Chelsea, obviously that is the game that we're playing tomorrow. Ollie was asked about the Chelsea game. What did he think about the game and the start to the season Chelsea have had? And he said, look, Chelsea, like many other teams, have had a very mixed start to the season. But we're two teams that know each other very well. And I think that feeds into everything that we're building up towards tomorrow, doesn't it? That Lampard versus Ollie, Chelsea versus United, we are on this parallel that we're not able to move away. And you wouldn't, it's very weird actually for two clubs to be on a very similar track for a long, long time. I remember Man United and Arsenal were like it in the late 90s, like I say. I mean, that was the golden era of the Premier League for me. And you had two fantastic teams that if you got rid of one, the other team would have won more. And we still won a lot. We won a treble. But Arsenal were fantastic under Wenger and we were fantastic under Sir Alex. And we were on this sort of parallel banging all the time. It's weird. It doesn't really happen that often, and we have seen that in a sort of Poundland way with us and Chelsea over the last sort of 18 months, where we're very similar clubs that are trying to close that gap on Liverpool and Man City with young managers who are ex-legends, as I've said before. And you just wonder how long us and Chelsea are going to go together, because at some point I think one of them is going to have to go off the rails, and hopefully it won't be us. So it's going to be interesting. And tomorrow against Chelsea could be a very, very significant point, because actually that could be the point where we go on different paths. Because if we beat Chelsea and we go on a good run and Chelsea's start of the season isn't that good, then, well, you know what? It might be the beginning of the end for Lampard. It might not work out at Chelsea. But the other way is, if Chelsea beat us and they beat us really... I mean, look, imagine tomorrow night, Chelsea turn up at Old Trafford. They beat us. They beat us well. They beat us like 3-0. We're sat there after the game going, well, look, that's what happens. That's the difference now. Chelsea are going off into the distance and we're stuck struggling again because Lampard got backed. Because Lampard's brought a load of good players in. Because the club are ambitious. So there's so many headlines to be written tomorrow night in relation to this game, and I think the parallel, as I said, that the head and the common sense approach is to say this is going to end in a draw, because then both teams continue on the path that they're at, trying to get better. But for whoever loses, it's a bad loss, and for whoever wins, it's a very good win. I love the show. I hope Twansebi and Lindelof start tomorrow, says Mikhail Roach. So yeah, looks like Harry Maguire will be back tomorrow. Looks like Harry Maguire will be starting tomorrow, and looks like Harry Maguire will have the captain's armband on tomorrow. I personally, and we just ask people what do you think about that? For me personally, I am expecting it, so I'm not going to be like, oh my God, Ollie out and all that stuff. I think Maguire has to have a future at Manchester United. This is not a player we can sell because nobody will buy him. In fact, I did a podcast yesterday for Alex Goldberg, the Chelsea fan, and he said to me, honest question, and I'll ask all you lot as well. what would you, if you could sell Harry Maguire now, what would be the lowest fee that you would take for him? And I said 50 million. And he was like, well, that's a 30 million drop in a year. And I said, because I think we all know he's not an 80 million pound centre-back. I think he's a 50 million pound centre-back. He's not an 80 million pound centre-back. And to be honest, I was happy that we spent 80 million pounds on him. So I'm not going to be one of those people who go, oh, we got mugged off. I thought 80 million at the time was fair because he's English, the English tax. Van Dijk went from Southampton to Liverpool, which for 75 million, and Leicester to United. It's a similar sort of thing. I don't think it was obvious that Van Dijk was a world-class centre-back at Southampton. And I think, 80 million with a bit of inflation was probably about right. But the cold, harsh fact is, Harry Maguire is not going to be Virgil van Dijk. He's not going to be Kalidou Koulibaly. He's not going to be Varane. He's not a top world-class centre-back. And he's not going to be that. He's a top centre-back. He's not a world-class centre-back. So he's not an £80 million centre-back. So we did overpay. So I think £50 million is probably his value. And we did overpay on him. But we're not going to sell Harry Maguire. He's got to have a future at Manchester United. And to have a future at Manchester United, he's got to be given the opportunity to do that. I just think that in relation to the game tomorrow against Chelsea, we have got so much momentum and so much confidence. I think it's a brave / unnecessary decision to go and break up a team that's just beaten Neymar and Mbappe in Paris, to bring players back in who weren't part of that. And I just think you've got to send out as much as that team as you can. You can't play a back five, as I said in the preview. You can't play a back five, so you've got to drop at least one player. But I wouldn't make many changes to that team, and I think it's an unnecessary risk because actually, you know what? If we play Maguire tomorrow night and we lose 2-0, we're all gonna go. I wonder what would happen if we picked the same team as PSG, and that's the whole point about momentum, and that's the whole point of. Look, there's a very old saying. I grew up with it, and I'm sure people before me grew up with it. You don't change a winning team. Who do you think is better, Tuanzebe or Upamecano, says Advocate? Well, look, I mean, that's just a silly question. Thank you for the question. But, in my opinion, it's a silly question because we can all say Tuanzebe, and I want to say Tuanzebe, but Upamecano is one of the best young centre-backs in the world. Tuanzebe can be that, but injury is his downfall. If Tuanzebe plays like he played against PSG for the next month, he will be better than Upamecano in my opinion. But he's got to play, and he's got to do it consistently. There's plenty of examples of a young player coming in and playing well for one game. He's got to do it week in, week out. He's got to make a mistake and then recover from a mistake. He's got to go through all that process, and to do that, he's got to stay fit. We need a right winger, says Joseph. Yep, we do. Will Maguire get better if he borrows Phil Jones' boots, says Dave Bennett. There's a lot of mention of Phil Jones in the live comments there. I don't know. Is it that happy Friday feeling? And Arky's right. At the moment, Upamecano has proved himself more. And that's the thing. He's played more games. He's proved himself more. Tuanzebe is in that conversation, but he's got to play. Vandy Candy says, Maguire deserved dropping long time ago when he made Mark No One, leaving Victor alone with pace of a snail on the cover, but manager can't see it. And somebody just said there it's not a silly question. Well, it's a silly question in my opinion. I'm glad you don't think it was silly, but I don't think you can say that Tuanzebe's better than Upamecano at the moment because it's like yesterday I did a show and I was asked about who's got, I'll ask you as well, who's got the best attack, Chelsea or Manchester United? Get in the comments and tell me why you think one or the other. I answered the question in this way, and I said it's like. I'll use the analogy I used. I said it's like Manchester United's attack is Lewis Hamilton driving whatever car he drives, and then Chelsea's attack is Ferrari turning up at the start of the season and saying, "Look at all the money we've spent on this car. We're better than you." And Lewis Hamilton saying, "Yeah, but I won the title last year. I'm proven. I'm the best. You can buy what you want, but until you go and beat me, you're just speculating." And that's exactly what I would say about Chelsea's attack. I like Werner. I wish we'd got him. I think Ziyech's a good player. Havertz is a fantastic talent as well. There's no doubt that Pulisic is very good. As a front four, that's a very good attack. But how can it be better than Manchester United's front four of Greenwood, Martial, Rashford and Bruno. Bruno's been the best player in the league since he came in, apart from De Bruyne. And Greenwood, Rashford and Martial scored over 55 goals last season. One of the best attacks in Europe. So, yeah, I'm not knocking Chelsea. They've got a very good attack. But I tell you what, your speculation, your prediction, you've not delivered. I'm going to go with the attack that delivered very, very well last season and continues to deliver. So, look, Chelsea fans are going to be biased. They're going to argue for them. And there's no doubting they've got some really, really good talent. But you can't say it's better than United's when United delivered last season. So it's United for me. Jacob says all Chelsea have got is Werner, Pulisic and Ziyech, whereas we've got so much depth and talent. And we could have had more. We could have had more because we could have bought more. Please smash a like on the video if you're watching, by the way. Tomorrow will be all about Fred versus Kante, says Varun Chanda. And you're right, you know, games are won and lost in the midfield. And how Manchester United approach the game tomorrow in that midfield is going to be really, really important. You know, and look, if Maguire plays tomorrow with Lindelof, which is what I'm expecting, I mean, he might play Maguire and Twansebi. You know, if he plays Maguire and Twansebi, you know what? I'd sit there and go, and I said it all in my face expression. You know what I was saying? I was saying, you know what? Lindelof's unlucky, but you've got the pace and you've got the height of Maguire. Is that not the future? And I think that's what Ollie's going to work towards anyway. I think Twansebi and Maguire is his dream partnership. And to be honest with you, he's probably right. He's probably right, because if you've got the aerial dominance of Maguire and the pace of Twansebi, there is your synergy. There's your complementation. That is the ideal. I just think tomorrow it's very unfair that Lindelof comes out. And look, the chart show's back tomorrow. If you've not seen the chart show before, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m, the chart show is out. We rank United's top players from 1 to 10 with a bit of singing from me. And expect to see Lindelof in there and don't expect to see Maguire in there. And that's nothing to do with hating on Maguire, because I like Maguire. But players have got to perform. And I've waited to do the chart show until we've had a few games, so we've got a bit of but it'll be back weekly. And, you know, Lindelof's done well. I think he deserves to start. But the midfield will be where it's won and lost anyway. You know, I like Kovacic, Kante, Jorginho, and we've got Fred, probably McTominay, Bruno. And, you know, should you be finding a place for Pogba in there? Van der Beek. Marco was only able to get 35 million for Maguire on my career mode. I thought he was worth 80. Twansebi and Lindelof start for me, says James Himes. Look, a lot of you were talking about Harry Maguire. Some of you were being a little bit harsh on him. I think £50 million for Harry Maguire is his value at the moment. We overpaid. We overpaid, and we overpaid for right reasons, and we overpaid for wrong reasons. The wrong reasons were we were desperate. The right reasons were we needed to get a centre-back. And, you know, he's... The thing, the unfair thing about Harry Maguire is he would not have set the price, of course. As a player, you never do. You go for what people are willing to pay you for. And the problem with Harry Maguire is his price value is one of a world-class centre-back, and he's not a world-class centre-back. If we'd paid 50 million for him, no one would talk about it, because that's his value. And if you look at Aaron Wan-Bissaka, we paid £50 million for him, and no one ever mentions his value. £50 million is a lot of money for a right-back, but no one mentions it because he's been good. Now, Aaron Wan-Bissaka for 80 million, people would talk about it because he's not. And I think Wan-Bissaka and Maguire are very similar in relation to their positions. Wan-Bissaka's been a better signing for United. I think we can accept that. But 50 million is their value. That's their value. Unfortunately for Harry, we spent 80 on him. And £80 million for a centre-back, you've got to be a world-class one. And he's just not. He's never going to be world-class. You know, some people would say Wan-Bissaka's not world-class, but we didn't pay £80 million for Wan-Bissaka. So, look, it's not his fault. We've got to get the best as we can out of Harry. And I think longer term, Ollie's plan as a back five will be De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Twansebi, Maguire and Telles. And at the end of the day, that's not a bad back four. Zuma will beat Maguire in the air on current form, says Jordan. Well, maybe that's the reason he'll want to play Harry Maguire for the corners and stuff, because one thing that Paris Saint-Germain didn't have was any aerial dominance, but Chelsea could well have that with their centre-back. So you're thinking about corners, Harry Maguire becomes quite important. Although, you know, I don't think Twansebi's bad in the air. McTominay's obviously tall. So, you know, we'll see how we get on. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the game. And I'm looking forward to hopefully getting 3 points. It's a big game for United, as I said. But look, the highlights of Ollie's press conference for me really were the public backing of Mason Greenwood and saying, I don't know where all this talk's coming from about it being late for training and ex-players don't know what they're on about. Also, obviously, Cavani, Greenwood and Maguire all in contention for the Chelsea game tomorrow, which is a positive, but it makes Ollie's job more interesting and harder, I suppose, in many ways. But big shout out as well, 3:30 this afternoon. Remember the Premier League show? We do it every Friday afternoon now. We've got me, Flex and Beth, and we'll be live as well, talking about the Premier League weekend in general, as well as the United stuff as well. We really want to get into Ollie versus Lampard in that show this afternoon as well. And then 8 o'clock tonight, chart show tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. And then, as you know, it's going to be the watch along as well. Can't wait for that. So smash a like, subscribe if you're new. Have a good day, and I'll speak to you all soon.